What's up, YouTube? Today we've got a special episode because my brother Yani is, drumroll please, in Brazil. Here he is. So I'm
Yeah,
sitting here. I've just woken up. I'm having my morning coffee at 6:12 a.m. What time is it for you over there, Yani?
it is 4:12 in the afternoon, and I'm
Yeah.
just about to jump in the pool. Yeah, I had the setup outside just before. It was really good, and I thought, yeah, that's going to be such a cool backdrop having the pool and the sauna and all that sort of thing. But there was some kids playing next door that was super loud and in another swimming pool, and it didn't work out the way it is. So you've got the beautiful lounge room in the background. This is an Airbnb. I've got my girlfriend. Yeah, she's saying, no, 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 don't. She's sitting next to me working. She's like, no, don't put me on. Um, yeah, this is an Airbnb that we have that we've hired, rented so we could catch up with Leticia's family because it's big enough, and it's in Sorocaba, which is couple of hours out of Sao Paulo in Brazil. And
Are
yeah,
you?
this is the first leg of our trip. We go to Rio tomorrow, Rio de Janeiro, and we're in a resort there with a gym. This place doesn't have a gym, and unfortunately, when we booked it, it's in this really quite wealthy neighborhood that's, in Brazil, it's wild. I've never been here before. This is my first time, but all of the wealthy neighborhoods are fenced in, they're enclosed in. You remember that sort of resort style place we stayed at for Bill in California, Rad?
I do, yeah.
You go in and it's fenced, but this is like serious. Like they've got armed security at the gates with bulletproof vests, and it's like facial recognition to get through the gates, and then they have to let you through a second gate, and it's all pretty intense. But then once you're in here, it's just like a sort of wealthy neighborhood, you know. And apparently, I'm told there's some professional football players that live here, and affluent Brazilians. But Leticia, when she looked at the website, it advertises a really nice gym, and we thought, oh, great, we'll have access to a gym. And we got here, and unfortunately, to enter the gym, you have to do facial recognition, and so only the owner of the place can use the gym.
Oh, bummer.
And so for the first day, I just said, look, I had a look around, I scouted the place. I said to Leticia, man, I wish I had brought my gymnastics rings. I always forget to pack them because they're such an easy piece of equipment to pack. They don't add much weight to your luggage, but they provide the one thing that's so hard to replicate when you're doing bodyweight training, which is the pulling movement patterns. And so I completely winged it, and I found a big one, like a big oversized beach umbrella outside that's part of the decor outside. So it has a really nice thick dowel upright, and I was able to put it across an outdoor table and a bar so that we could do horizontal pull-ups laying down and replicate some sort of a pulling movement pattern. So our first workout, we just did full calisthenics. We did push-ups, a push-up variation for our push movement pattern. I did not handstand push-ups. What do you call the handstand
Pike
push-up
push-ups.
variation that we teach?
Pike.
Pike push-ups. That's right. I I did pike push-ups. Leticia did standard elevated push-ups, so like a decline push-up with her hands elevated, feet on the floor. Then we did alternating lunges. Then we did the horizontal pull-ups. Then we did single leg hip thrusts, and then we did oh my God, the name of the exercise eludes me, where you lay on your side with one foot elevated and you pull your hips up. So it's for the adductors. What are they called?
Copenhagen's.
Um, they're- Copenhagen's. That's right. We did Copenhagen's. So we got a pretty good whole body workout done. We did, I believe Leticia kicked and screamed for 3 sets, but she did four. I said, look, the average person will do 3 rounds of this, and the above average person will do four, and the heroic high achiever will do five. And so I did five, she did four, and then we jumped in the pool. And
Yeah.
Yeah, look, that was really good for the first day because man, we traveled for 36 hours. So my ankles swelled up. I've never had this happen before. I ended up in the airport in Qatar, Doha. I bought some socks, some compression socks, because my ankles and feet swelled up so bad on the flight over here. I was like, oh my God, this is hectic. Like
Wow.
I looked like I had cankles. Yeah, it was wild, wild. And so that workout helped with that blood flow and everything. And then on day two, we were
Did you
able
get
to
up and
get
move
into a
around on the
gym.
plane that much and do some body weight
Man,
squats?
I got up heaps. Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
heaps. Squats,
Interesting.
lunges. I did like, every once in a while. I did a set of like 50 push-ups. People just completely freak out because you're doing push-ups in the aisle of a jumbo jet. One of the eight. We flew over on one of the big A380s with Qatar Airlines. It was
Oh,
pretty
really?
crazy.
You
Yeah,
were on a
man,
380, were you?
monsters. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
let's talk about that in a
yeah.
minute.
And
Because I want to. I've got a few comments on your holiday workout. Firstly, are you using the microphone that's built into your Bluetooth headphones or on the computer?
Bluetooth.
Okay, sit back a bit then, because you're a little bit close to the screen when you sit that close. Yeah, it's a little bit better like that.
Okay,
And just
yeah,
pull your monitor down a little bit so it's a little bit of a better shot. Um, the I write holiday programs for our tribe all the time, and what's really important to understand, everybody when they go on vacation and they say, Rad, I don't want to lose progress with my program. Can you give me a version of it when I go? And I give people, it's always the same program, but because you're often using calisthenics or body weight movements, well, you are for everything. It's just the version of the exercise that you're doing that suits your ability level. And I don't give more than 4 exercises. And I tell people
mm,
the simplicity is the secret weapon of a vacation workout. And all I do in the whole workout is, and we've always done this, is push, pull, legs, core. That's it. And I do 2 versions.
yeah,
So you tell people to pack the gymnastics rings, because you're right. If you had gymnastics rings, you can put that in your luggage and it probably takes up 200 or 300 grams of weight. So it's very light and it's very small. And as long as you've got somewhere where you can hang something, then you can hang them. And then you're doing some form of a push-up, depending on how strong you are or how much work you've got to do with push-ups. You'll be doing, if you're not strong enough to do a push-up, you're doing a push-up on a wall. You're doing some form of a pull-up. So if you're strong enough to do a pull-up, you're doing pull-ups with the rings, or you're doing eccentric pull-ups or jumping pull-ups, or you're doing a ring row. And then on the 2 different versions of the day, the only difference is one day is a unilateral leg exercise, so like a lunge or a split squat, and one day is a bilateral leg exercise like a squat. And then on the core, one is anterior core, one is posterior core. So I just do the hollow body hold on one day, which is, if you don't know what that means, everybody, it means it's a core exercise for your abs. And then an arch body hold, where you lay on your stomach and you're arching your back up. So it's a core exercise for the posterior chain. And then I just tell people,
yeah.
you do as many rounds as you can handle. So you could do 3 rounds, and that's still better than nothing. Or if you really want to go for it, you could do 8 rounds, and 3 rounds will probably take you 15 minutes. 8 rounds will take you, 40 minutes. And the what I also tell people is as well, because if you're strong enough, then doing body weight lunges and body weight squats is going to be not challenging for you at all. So I just tell people to do plyometrics. And if you've never done that before,
Mm,
plyometrics is where you're jumping and you're training explosively. And you can, the way that's actually a really beneficial workout for you, because you're training the type 2X muscle fibers, which are the fastest fast twitch muscle fibers, in a way that you wouldn't normally do when you're doing weightlifting. So it does give you a little bit of an adaptation. And you might think to yourself, oh, but I'm not doing my program and I'm not doing this. If you just did that workout, even once a week is going to be hugely beneficial. But if you did it just twice a week, and that's all you did when you were on vacation, and you did that for 2 weeks, you will still come back without having gone backwards with your training.
100%.
It's
Yeah, 100%.
hugely
And
beneficial.
I'll throw a couple of really obvious benefits there, but first, to add to your comments about the 4 exercise circuit. So I chose 5 exercises because it made it a little bit easier for Leticia because she's not as used to the type of training that we do. She does a lot of yoga and she does a little bit, I would say minimal resistance training. I'd love her to do a little bit more. She does a little bit, but only like 30 minutes 3 times a week
Hmm.
and in a little home gym, But the Copenhagen's, for people that don't know, are a really good core exercise because you're supporting yourself and depending on how much you separate the fulcrum points. So your arm is one leverage point and your feet or knees are the other, and you're sort of elevated in like what would be just like a side plank. So you're getting that oblique core stimulus and abdominal stimulus with them. We did reps where we allow the hips to slowly drop to the floor, then we lift up, hold a side plank, and then go back down for a 2 count. And we were doing 10 reps and then a 10-second hold. So it's a good core exercise. And then, of course, we just did the glute hip single leg hip thrusts with our shoulders elevated on the edge of an outdoor sort of couch around the pool so that we got a bit deeper. Yeah, there's the Copenhagen's there. And so I do them with my leg extended, not on my knee, but Leticia was doing them just like that with her knee up, elevated on one of the, deck chairs out there. And yeah, we turned the place into a proper little gym. We got a really good workout. Uh, and the thing is, when you travel, especially if you travel via air, so you've flown a distance like I did, it really impacts your body's circulation. It really impacts because of the altitude. You retain a lot of water. You get a lot of fluid retention for the days afterwards, and it can really increase inflammation. So it's really important that you get that heart rate up and get the blood flowing like that through a workout. And so my priority was to just get the whole body flushed in a body composition style workout where you're working the whole body straight away. And like Brad said, simplicity is the key, because it's accumulated fatigue that creates the intensity of the workout. So the less exercises you put into the circuit, the more difficult it's going to be. If it was only 2 exercises and you were going back and forth with like an AMRAP style, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, or 40-20 or something, you get absolutely flogged. You get so fatigued. And we had a real good workout from that, and we went and got to use her brother's apartment gym on day two, and did a good whole body workout there. I was able to do some sort of supersets and trisets because I had access to a bench. I had access to proper chin ups, lat pull down. Leticia did some leg press, glute and adductor work and hamstring curls because they have a lying hamstring curl. His apartment gym's properly decked out. So we got to do that in day two, and day three today we are yet to do. We've had lunches and things with family, and it's the afternoon now, so we're going to do a sauna. We've got a sauna here. We're going to have a good sauna in a sec and do a little bit of workout out there. And you can't really see, but we've got beach tennis in this compound, which is really popular in Brazil. It's kind of like volleyball, but with tennis racket. It's like a volleyball court, beach volleyball court, but you use a sort of hybrid wooden tennis racket and a tennis ball. And it's good fun, but man, you get a workout moving around on the sand. Anyone who's played beach volleyball would understand. And we've been doing that a bit. And yeah, it's just about getting moving because you usually consume a bit more. Like for me, I drink beer when I'm on vacation, and if I'm not exercising every day, then it really, really hammers you. You come home just way heavier and you've gained kilos and you go backwards, and it's not a good feeling. And what I find is that when you work out early in the morning when you're on vacation, the rest of the day you do better. You tend to eat better, you drink better, you sleep better, all of those things. And that's the other thing I should add, that it really helps for jet lag when you do work out when you arrive at your destination, because that blood flow really wakes you up in the morning. It just resets the body and all of that. Are you muted, Rad?
I was because I had to type
Yeah,
in
I thought so.
something on when I was searching for the Copenhagen, and you hear the tick 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 of my
That's all right.
mechanical keyboard. Yeah, yeah, all good stuff. Yeah, and it just keeps you on track as well. It does stop you from going backwards, and it doesn't. Yeah, the simplicity is the secret. It really is. It's
Yeah.
I've had people that when they go away on vacation, they really try to ask me for this complex workout plan, and there's so many reasons why it's not the right thing to do. And another big part of it is vacations are a really important time to reduce the mental load. People don't take
Mm.
people don't take enough. They don't put enough consideration into how stressful and how taxing mental load is. And when we're at home and we're going through our routine, it's actually a concept that my wife made me aware of. I hadn't really been aware of it before, and of course it's since parenting, but she started to talk to me about what mental load is versus, like I used to say to her, just tell me what you need me to do around the house. And she said, that's part of the problem, is that I have to take on the mental load of everything that needs to be done to make sure that it gets done. And I'd never really considered that before. But, we all have this mental load where when we're in our routines, and especially if you're a parent, then you've got mental load. You have to think about everything that your kid needs to do and all the cleaning and your work and your relationship and all of it. And so when you go on a vacation, you want to remove the mental load of your program. A complex program that a lot of people have, where you have to really think about it. You've got to, make sure that you're, using progressive overload, and you're hitting these exercises. Sometimes people have programs where they want to work out twice a day, or where they're doing a 90-minute workout, and it's more complex than what other people have. You don't want that when you're on vacation. You want something that you can just look at and go, oh yeah, it's just these 4 exercises. Let's go, bang, and you just bang them out
Yeah.
and do them.
And that plays a big role on the psychology of exercise while you're away too, because if you only see 4 exercises, and I'm not the type of person who gets up in the morning and goes, oh, I'm psyched to go work out now. I do it because I know I have to do it, because it's part of my everything, my identity. It helps with my mental health. It helps, I like the physical side effects of exercise and all of that and the benefits. But I often will have to psych myself up and say, look, just do 1 round, just
Yeah,
focus on 1 round of these 4
yeah,
exercises or 5 exercises, like on day 1, and then see what happens. And of course, you always end up, once you're through the door, or you get your first round done, you always end up doing 3 or 4 or 5, because you just start to feel better. You start to go, oh,
yeah,
well, I'm here now. I'm going to finish it. And I'm a big proponent of doing body composition training, so full circuits when you're away on vacation.
yeah,
If you're, like, when I'm training in the gym, normally I'm training like a bodybuilder. Like the UMS style workout, where it's primaries, and I do I follow the overload methods of the UMS program, and sprinkle some of my own flavor into it. But then when I go on vacation, I just switch to body composition, where I'm training the whole body in each workout, and it's nice to mix it up like that. I will often do that after I get home from a vacation too, for a couple of weeks when I'm back at the gym. I stay with the circuits for a bit, because they're so good for displacing calories, for tuning up the body if you've gained a little bit of unnecessary or unwanted weight, body fat while you're away. I jumped on the scales, right? Have a guess how much I weigh at the moment.
92 kilograms.
95.4.
Oh, look out! Look at this guy.
95. And I'm not super, like, I think I'd probably be about 12% body fat,
Yeah,
11.5% body fat. Like,
yeah.
you can still see abs there. But I was shocked. I was like, holy crap. Yeah, I
I
had to
haven't weighed
double check
myself for
that.
a while.
You haven't weighed yourself?
Well, I haven't, but I'm bigger because I've been really, really focusing on building muscle for the last few years. And when I'd always fluctuated between sort of 84 and 86 kilograms. So for those of you in the States, I think it's about 185, 190 pounds, something like that. And then I got up to 91 kilograms, so about 202 pounds. But I'm bigger now than I was back then. It's a mission It's not hard to put on weight when you're our age, but it is hard to put on muscle. And I have
Yeah,
worked my butt off for it. But yes, I don't know. I might be 92 or 93 now. I'm not sure. 205,
yeah.
210 pounds or something like that. Yeah, wow, that's the
On
heaviest
that
you've
on
been.
that on that topic of putting on, that's the heaviest I think I've ever been. I've never
Yeah,
weighed over 94.
yeah,
So and I have put on, I have had a, leading up to the vacation, I prioritized dietary protein intake to a much higher level than I have done for a while, because I was lifting quite heavy and training a lot into I always do this. I always ramp up my training preceding a vacation, because then when you go away, your body's still adapting, because you sort of force into an overreaching state where you need the recovery for the first
hmm
sort of few days. And I find that I'm still building muscle for that period. So I was really consciously consuming a lot of protein. And that included additional sort of dairy products that I normally wouldn't eat. Like I was having those, smashing those Chobani, oh man,
yogurts.
the fruits, the tropical flavor of that is so good. And they do one that's 2 grams of protein in a little tub, and I was having two of those every night after dinner. So that's still 40 grams of protein, and I was like cleaning out the tub so that I got every drop of it to make sure that I got that 20 grams. So yeah, I was probably hitting like, I don't know, 170 to 200 grams of protein. I started to get pimples, so I know that I was overcooking the protein, because I get pimples after a while from it.
When you have too
And
much
I thought,
protein, yeah,
when I have too much protein, I've always had that problem,
yeah.
especially dairy products, dairy protein like whey and yogurt and things like that. But I knew that I would take it easy once we went away, and I'm in Brazil, so we're just having carne, like barbecue, so much meat. It's amazing. And yeah, look, but on that note, I wrote this, that we did this rebuttal of that Jeremy Ethia, I would call it anti-protein video, a week or two ago, which was a live stream. And I have done a whole series of emails to follow up on that, which are going live next week. So if you're not subscribed to our email list, you really should, because this is the deepest dive I've done and the most research I've done in a long time on dietary protein intake requirements and muscle protein synthesis. And it's so funny because I wrote seven, what I believe to be really good emails off the back of our discussion, with a little bit more information, because we were live having that chat, but I went and did a bit of research and took some time and put some time into it. But then Dr. Rhonda Patrick did an interview with Peter Attia on her Found My Fitness podcast, which went live last week, just after I wrote those 7 emails. And I get her newsletter every week, which, dissects all of the science. And similar to me, after she does the interview, she does a recap, but then links all the studies and everything that they've discussed. And it's so thorough. And so I'm in the middle
What
right
was
now
it about?
rewriting all those 7. Oh, it was exactly what we were talking about, like
Really?
the myths about protein. The whole precedent was that dietary protein consumption's being vilified at the moment, and it's really poorly understood. And they're both sort of laughing and shrugging their shoulders, going, "I really don't know why," because there is so much good science that says exactly what you should and shouldn't do, especially if you're a trained individual or an athlete, like most of our tribe are. And it just gave me so much more,
Yeah.
so many more good arguments to include in my emails. So I've decided to go back and rewrite the 7 emails to include some new arguments from Dr. Peter Attia, who's really, really good. And one of the things that stuck with me, which I failed to point out, is that we do say in our discussion that we seldom come across people who overconsume protein. Most people underconsume protein. And what he says is the reason why he suggests people have 2 grams per kilogram, or 2.2 even per kilogram of protein, is because you don't get it right every day. there are some days where you hit your protein needs, and there are other days where you miss and you undershoot. And because it's far more detrimental to undershoot consistently, especially when you're training to a high intensity, that he recommends just aiming to overshoot every day so that it covers the days that you undershoot. And because the body doesn't look at a daily calendar, it kind of it responds based on a week of time.
Yeah.
So the stimulus you give from workouts in a week and the recovery and maintenance you provide from the nutrition that you consume. So I thought that was a really valid point and something that just makes a lot of sense. And so I've sort of incorporated that as a primary theme in my emails. But yeah, I would recommend it for everybody, because that's something that I'm also doing now whilst away. You know, I'm making sure that I'm basing my diet around dietary protein, and that helps to maintain my body composition, my muscle, my results that I achieved prior to going on vacation. And it's something that everyone should, I think, focus on and remain focused on.
Yeah, nice one. All right, Yani, I've got to go. It's family time for me now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We just wanted to we wanted to keep our cadence, so hopefully we can go live again next week, Yani, and have some more.
Yep, I'll be in Jerry next week, so that'll be a really nice, beautiful place to live stream from.
Awesome.
Jericoacoan, which is up north in the north of Brazil, in a little beach town.
Nice one. Sounds great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you. We've got a great video coming out this week. I've just finished editing our video all about biceps training, all about the different hand grips, all about all the different stuff about biceps training that you would ever need to know. So that one's going live on Sunday morning for those of you over in the States, Sunday midnight for those of you in Australia. So check that out, and we'll see you next week. And have a good week, Yani. Enjoy your time over there.
Thanks, guys. Yep. See you soon.